All right, guys, Wes here. Welcome back to the channel, and we just got some exciting Spider-Man 2 updates. With just under 100 days left until the game releases, Spider-Man 2 keeps getting even bigger. There have been a ton of things leaked recently and details confirmed in the last couple of weeks. So in today's video, I'm going to go over everything that you guys may have missed about Insomniac's next big superhero project. Also, guys, I'm giving away a PlayStation 5 to one lucky subscriber at 130,000 subscribers. So check the pinned comment for those details. So the first piece of exciting Spidey news to go over is the fact that on July 20th, we're going to be getting a ton of new information about Spider-Man 2's story, particularly in regards to this new version of Venom. Insomniac has been pretty vague about their version of the iconic villain, and while they did confirm that it's not going to be Eddie Brock as Venom, they're likely going to keep his identity a secret until the launch of the game throughout the story, similar to how Rocksteady did their best to not reveal the identity of the Arkham Knight prior to the launch of Batman Arkham Knight. Now, there's many fans that are already convinced they know who Venom is in Spider-Man 2, and we'll go over those theories in just a bit, but it was just confirmed that on July 20th, Insomniac is going to be hosting an exclusive panel during the San Diego Comic-Con called Spider-Man 2 Symbiotic Relationships, and it will feature the game's creative director, game director, narrative director, and senior art director, as well as the actors who portray Peter, Miles, Mary Jane, and Venom all getting together to talk about the upcoming game and how the symbiote plays a role in it. Now, just recently, it was confirmed that the Screen Actors Guild is going to be striking, which had a lot of people concerned whether or not this panel was even going to be happening. But according to Yuri Lowenthal, the voice actor who plays Spider-Man, he said this on Twitter, and I quote, "For those of you asking, yes, I will be attending the Spider-Man 2 and Mortal Kombat 1 panels at San Diego Comic-Con. I wholeheartedly support the strike and my fellow SAG-AFTRA and WGA members, but the interactive video game contract is not a subject of the strike yet." Tony Todd was also tweeting about the SAG-AFTRA strike as well. I would assume that his case is very similar to Yuri Lowenthal's, but we'll just have to wait and see. It would be kind of strange for a panel called Symbiotic Relationships to not have the performance actor that plays Venom at the panel, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, at this current time, it's unclear if they're going to reveal the identity of Venom at this conference. My money is on a hard no, but they're likely going to discuss this new version of the iconic symbiote and discuss how it influences gameplay, and hopefully we'll get our first good look at Venom in action. Now, in addition to the Comic-Con announcement, it was also recently confirmed that Hot Toys will be releasing a series of figures from the game, but the run will be limited to just 3,000 units in selected markets. The new figures look awesome, and Peter's updated suit looks amazing, but one of my favorite details about it is the Iron Spider arms will be a part of it, which sounds reassuring to some fans who were starting to wonder what role the mechanical arms will be playing into the game. The Iron Spider arms appeared in the Spider-Man 2 reveal trailer almost 2 years ago, but was absent from the gameplay reveal. We got to see the Iron Spider suit during the film Across the Spider-Verse, but the fact that we didn't get any gameplay for it at the official showcase led some to wonder what kind of role they play into the actual game, especially considering the recent focus on all the marketing was about the black suit. But with the inclusion of the Iron Spider arms in the new figures, I think it's safe to say that they'll be playing a notable part in the gameplay. The only question now is how will they work compared to the first game's version. Now, one thing that you may have seen on social media recently is a literal hype train for Spider-Man 2. There was one recently spotted out in the real world. At least one public train system has been completely painted in Spider-Man 2 marketing material, including the October 20th release date, meaning there's basically 0% chance that this game gets delayed, because there's no way Sony is going to be spending that much money on all of the marketing if they're not 100% confident that they're going to follow through with the game's release date. Now, insider sources have claimed that the game's marketing campaign is really going to be kicking into high gear in the next 2 months up to the release, and if we're starting to see literal hype trains around major cities, strap in, because Sony is going to spare no expense making sure everyone knows Spider-Man 2 is coming out. Circling back to Venom's identity in this game, as you probably know, the community is pretty much positive that it's going to be Harry Osborn, since he was pretty heavily teased in the last game, and if that's the case, it's going to be kind of silly when the reveal comes. Insomniac acts like they fooled everyone. Insomniac keeps acting like Venom's identity is a big secret, so if it ends up being the obvious choice, the internet will have a bit of a laugh about it, but a new theory is starting to circulate, and I think that there's actually a chance that it's legit. What if Insomniac is being secretive because Venom isn't going to be Harry at all? What if instead it's actually Norman Osborn? What if in an act of desperation to save his son, Norman accidentally bonds with the symbiote while handling it or transporting it, resulting in him becoming Venom? Then once Venom is defeated and Norman is presumably killed in the process, it can be Harry's motivation to become Green Goblin and seek revenge in Spider-Man 3. This is basically an inverse of the Harry Venom theory, but it would still make sense in the context of the Insomniac Spider-Man universe, and it would also explain why the team is being so secretive about Venom's identity when the last game seemingly teased it already. If we look at the tank that Harry is in, he is clearly so sick that the Venom symbiote will not bond to him because of that. And also, if you remember from this video right here, you see Norman put his hand on the glass and then the symbiote immediately attracts to his hand. This tells me that it's likely going to be Norman Osborn. However, this could be a misdirection. My guess is it's not a misdirection and it's 100% going to be Norman Osborn, but only time will tell. Now, if it's not already clear, Spider-Man 2 has a pretty tall order ahead of it. When you think about the first Spider-Man game, it was a massive step up for both Insomniac games and Spider-Man games as a whole. It was the first proper open world Spider-Man game since the criminally underrated Web of Shadows, and it quickly became one of the best-selling PS4 games of all time. Spider-Man 2 not only needs to match that scale and hype of the first game, but it also needs to add and innovate enough to justify it being a fully fledged sequel. Some have already accused Spider-Man 2 of basically just being Spider-Man 1 with a handful of new things. While some may be okay with that, others would like to see more innovation. Think of the Batman Arkham games. There was a ton of innovation going from Arkham Asylum to City, and there was a whole bunch more going from Arkham City to Arkham Knight. But with how big the first Spider-Man game was, you have to wonder if Insomniac had trouble coming up with new gameplay mechanics for them to implement in order to make it distinct from the last game, or rather the last two games if we're counting Miles Morales as well. We really won't know about this aspect of the game for sure until we play it ourselves, but I have confidence that Insomniac found places to make their Spider-Man formula even better than ever before, and with additions like the black suit, the wingsuit, and character switching on top of a much bigger map, I think this is going to be the best Spider-Man game ever created. Now, on the opposite end, there was also some concerns about Spider-Man 2 showing too much information, giving us too much gameplay, and telling us too much about the characters that are featured in the game. But I'd like to talk about this comment from Yuri Lowenthal from a few months ago, and he basically just said that's not the case. He said, "You saw the gameplay drop. Some of you said, they showed too much." But he said, "I assure you that you have seen nothing yet. We've just scratched the surface." While I do think that there's valid claims on both sides of the equation, I think you just have to make the decision yourself. Personally, I'm excited for Spider-Man 2. I think this game is going to be insane, and I'm leaning more on the side of trusting Yuri Lowenthal and the fact that we have seen really nothing yet. I don't want to be completely bought into the hype train just yet though, because there have been some perfectly legitimate concerns that fans have raised from the first game that have been raised with the sequel. I've seen some mention that they're actually concerned that the Iron Spider arms will be too heavily used in the gameplay, which I totally understand. As cool as the Iron Spider is, there's no denying that that's not really what people think when they boot up a Spider-Man game. And even just with the overall gadgets that are high tech, a lot of people aren't fans with the more high tech version of Spider-Man and Miles Morales that we saw in the MCU and even in both of the Spider-Man games. And if Spider-Man 2 relies too much on the tech side of things rather than all of the web abilities, it might detract from the core experience for a lot of longtime Spidey fans, which would be a huge shame. Now, some fans have also expressed quite a bit of concern over the amount of potential busy work and shallow side content that may come with a bigger open world. Spider-Man is an awesome character with super unique abilities for an open world video game, so it can get pretty annoying when the side missions are just the same outposts or random crimes over and over again. I loved Spider-Man 2018 and Spider-Man Miles Morales, but I'll admit after a while the side missions get a little repetitive, so hopefully Spider-Man 2 makes the open world content a little more engaging to keep the game from becoming Far Cry Spider-Man. And then there's been the most obvious potential problem, and that's the balance between Miles and Peter in the main story. Obviously everyone has their own favorite Spider-Man, but since the first two characters are sharing spotlight in the main story, it's potentially going to lead some people feeling like their favorite character was snubbed out of a deeper narrative. Insomniac has yet to let me down with a story of a Marvel game or just any of their games in general, so I'm not too worried about this, but I really hope they manage to find a balance between Peter and Miles so it can be an engaging story for both of them instead of one of them taking a backseat to the other. I also really hope that there's certain missions where you could choose to play as either Peter or Miles. That way, if you feel like you're not playing enough as your favorite Spider-Man, then you could choose to play the mission as whichever Spider-Man you choose. They could still do the same story beats because you would still have Miles and Peter at the same time, similar to the Spider-Man 2 mission where the Lizard was chasing Peter and Miles. But either way, whenever it comes to the free roaming of the open world, we could decide to play whoever we want. We could switch the character and just continue as that character. Either way though, guys, it seems like Spider-Man 2 keeps getting a lot bigger and even better every time we get news out. So if you guys would like to stay up to date with all things Spider-Man 2, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed my coverage. Don't forget to turn your notifications on so you don't miss out on any future content. And until next time, this has been Wes, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.